A gust of wind, a dream, love as unpredictable as life. What exactly has captivated your heart? The original text is complete, so please get comfortable. An exciting story is about to begin. My childhood sweetheart is the female lead, but I'm the villainous male supporting character. No matter how hard I try, her gaze is slowly drawn to the male lead. The moment she abandoned me for the male lead again, I knew it was time for me to leave. I applied to the system to exit this world. Host, you have 1 month left, the little system thoughtfully reminded me. I nodded to show I understood. The food on the dinner table had grown cold. The cake had "Happy Birthday" written on it. The person who promised to spend every birthday with me didn't keep her word. Willow Green and I grew up together, childhood sweethearts, until we became lovers. This was the first time she had missed my birthday. Willow Green had an important matter to handle, which was why she broke our date. I knew she went to be with the male lead. Such incidents had been happening frequently lately. I knew I had lost. The plot was the plot. It wasn't something I could control. Silently, I poured all the food into the trash can and ate the cake by myself. The cream was very, very sweet, sweet to the point of bitterness. It was the first time I had eaten an entire large cake alone. At 3 a.m., Willow Green returned. I closed my eyes, feeling her approach. She said, "I'm sorry I came back late. I had something to deal with today. Next time, I'll definitely spend your birthday with you." Next time? Unfortunately, I wouldn't have a next birthday. I didn't say anything, just turned over, my back to her. A silent stillness spread between us. I clutched my stomach, curling up in pain. Willow Green's anxious voice rang out. "Caden, what's wrong?" The doctor lectured me. "You're a grown man. You know you have a sensitive stomach. Yet you ate such a large cake late at night. What were you thinking?" Knowing I was in the wrong, I lowered my eyes, sitting somewhat obediently. There would be no next time. I wouldn't have another chance to eat birthday cake. Willow Green helped me walk out of the hospital. She suddenly paused. "Was it because I didn't come back for your birthday that you ate the cake alone? Why would you do that? Are you deliberately trying to make me feel bad?" "No," I answered quickly. "I told you I really had an urgent matter to handle last night. Why are you acting so petty?" "I know," I replied in a very calm tone, completely different from my previous frantic, screaming arguments. Willow Green was also stunned, looking at me with a very unfamiliar gaze. After applying to leave this world, I was no longer controlled by the plot. I finally regained my rationality instead of arguing hysterically like a resentful woman with Willow Green. I looked up. My reflection was mirrored in Willow Green's eyes, only me. But I knew her heart already held someone else, the male lead, Ryder. I was merely an obstacle in their path to love. As Willow Green became increasingly unable to let go of Ryder, I also found myself changing. I became irritable, suspicious, and overly possessive. But this wasn't the real me. The plot had transformed me into a strange, unfamiliar person. That was the character setting the author had given me. The rift between Willow Green and me grew wider and wider until I accidentally hit my head and remembered that I had transmigrated into a book as the villainous male supporting character. Only then did I gradually regain clarity. "Willow Green," I said, "I feel a bit tired. I want to go home." "Okay, let's go home." Willow Green visibly sighed in relief. Willow Green and I had known each other since we were 3, spending nearly 20 years together. We were the most familiar presences in each other's lives. I thought we would accompany each other for the rest of our lives, but now, it seemed, we would each walk our separate ways. I had been sick these past 2 days and resting at home. Willow Green was very busy with work but still took time off to stay with me. She had always been like this. If she wanted to be good to someone, she would pamper them, making it hard to refuse. Unfortunately, she was gradually transferring that kindness to someone else. Willow Green was usually lively and adorable, but she was always very strict with herself at work. She never brought her phone to meetings, but now, she was frequently distracted, picking up her phone no less than 5 times in just half an hour, a smile unconsciously curving on her lips. I watched this scene, somewhat dazed. How long had it been? How long had it been since I had seen Willow Green smile so genuinely? A bitter taste spread in my heart. Actually, I couldn't entirely blame Willow Green. Ever since Ryder appeared, my personality had changed drastically. We had argued countless times. It was already a lot that she was still willing to stay in this house. I surveyed the entire house, inch by inch, from the smallest chopsticks to the largest appliances. Willow Green and I had chosen everything together. At that time, We were full of aspirations for our future life, decorating our loving home with the greatest enthusiasm. But who would have thought that everything would change just a few months after Ryder appeared? I could tell Willow Green's mind wasn't on me, so I personally ushered her out the door for work. "I'm fine," I said. She looked at me with a complicated expression. I thought maybe she still liked me a little bit. With half a month left on my life's countdown, my body was visibly deteriorating. Willow Green noticed something was wrong and wanted to take me to the hospital for a checkup. I simply brushed it off, saying my stomach was still a bit upset from eating the cake earlier, and I just couldn't eat much. I'd get better with rest. She didn't say anything more. The moment she stepped out of the room, I could even feel her inner joy. Was it because she was going to see Ryder? I gave a self-deprecating smile, even trying to convince myself that this was a foregone conclusion. Seeing the person I deeply loved gradually fall for someone else, and being utterly helpless, the sadness in my heart was overwhelming. There wasn't much time left. I wanted to say a proper goodbye to this world. I went out with cat food. There was a stray cat near my house. I had wanted to adopt it, but it was always very wary and unwilling to be kept indoors. So I gave up. I wouldn't have another chance to see it again. I wondered if it would miss me. I gave it a final pet and babbled on about many things. The little cat seemed to sense something, squatting by my feet and constantly rubbing against me, meowing anxiously. I knew that cats and dogs could sense when people were ill. It was trying to warn me, but I knew even more that I wouldn't live. Even if I were taken to the hospital, the doctors wouldn't find anything. Feeling the little creature's kindness, I curved my lips. "Thank you. I'm okay." With 8 days left, I could distinctly feel my life force draining away. Strength gradually left my body, and coughing became more frequent, with symptoms of coughing blood. I kept all of this well hidden. Willow Green's mind wasn't on me at all. She was out early and back late every day. Although we lived under the same roof, we hadn't seen each other in a long time. Sometimes I wondered if she would still abandon me if she knew I was dying. Although curious, I didn't want to tell her. When Willow Green and I used to watch dramas together, I always thought the characters were foolish. What misunderstanding couldn't be spoken aloud? But only when I was in the situation myself did I understand that some things really couldn't be said. I gathered my savings and made arrangements. My parents had passed away years ago in an accident. Besides Willow Green, the only person left in my life was my brother, Jay. I went to the bank to close my account. The staff tried to persuade me to keep it, saying it would be difficult to open a new account later and would require many documents. "I won't need it anymore," I said. "Then you're missing one document," the staff member replied. "It's already this late. Even if you bring it, the bank will be closed. You might not be able to do it today. Come back tomorrow." Thinking of the little time I had left, I pleaded, "Could you wait for me for another half hour? I might not be able to come again." She looked at my sickly pale face, hesitating to speak. I smiled gently at her. "I won't live much longer, so please, I trouble you." As I walked out of the bank, I faintly heard soft sobs behind me. It seemed to be a kind-hearted young woman. It turned out a stranger would still be sad for me. I quietly said I'm sorry in my heart. Back home, I looked at the almost empty house, most things already taken care of. In 2 days, everything of mine here would be cleared out. Willow Green, uncharacteristically, got off work early today. She seemed to have finally noticed something was wrong. "Why are so many things missing from the house?" she asked. "I want to replace them with new ones." I casually made an excuse. "It's true. We should get new things. Use this card to buy them. It's my bonus. Consider it a joint purchase," I suddenly said. "Can you come with me to buy them, Kaden?" "I'm very busy," she said. She didn't even give me an extra glance, but I could hear the displeasure in her tone, as if she was complaining about my lack of understanding. If only she had looked up at me, she might have seen the sadness overflowing in my eyes. I took a deep breath. "Okay, I understand. I'll go by myself." Willow Green always said she was busy, but when I left the bank, I saw her eating with Ryder. They were laughing and chatting, and the atmosphere was so good that a third person couldn't blend in. I vaguely remembered that we used to be like that too. She loved shopping, but now she didn't even have time to buy things with me. This kind of excuse was so direct it made my heart ache. So this is what it feels like when love fades. Every little detail reminded me that Willow Green no longer loved me. I covered my mouth, coughing violently. Willow Green frowned, looking at me. I secretly crumpled the blood-stained tissue in my hand. "Have you been smoking behind my back again?" she asked, displeased. Or drinking again? I shook my head. No, I haven't. I always listened to Willow Green. I knew she was doing it for my own good. I had quit smoking and drinking a long time ago, only occasionally indulging when under a lot of stress. She knew that, but now she didn't want to believe me. Seeing that I was fine, she turned to leave. Willow Green, I said, pulling on her hand hesitantly, if one day I wasn't here, would you be sad? No, she replied, her gaze heavy on me. Caden, you're a grown man. Don't use such childish tactics. Do you still think this is hide and seek? When we were little, Willow Green was very clingy, always following me like a little shadow. One time, we were playing hide and seek, and I accidentally fell asleep in a tree. Willow Green was terrified. She cried heartbreakingly, drawing everyone's attention. Our parents scolded me. Willow Green cried, her eyes red and puffy, sobbing as she protected me. Don't hit him, she cried, turning to hug me tightly. Caden, don't leave me. I'll be good. I won't cry anymore. No matter what happens, don't ever leave me, I replied with a wry smile. Okay. I traced Willow Green's eyebrows with my gaze. She was someone who smiled so much, so why was she frowning again? Did she remember now how afraid she once was of losing me? I guessed she probably didn't. Her memory was so bad. If she couldn't even remember how much she loved me before, then she would also forget all the things I did that she disliked, right? Okay, I understand. I nodded, so she wouldn't be sad. Even a stranger would shed a few tears for me. It was better that she wouldn't be sad. How could the female lead be sad for the villainous male supporting character? Watching Willow Green's retreating back, I silently said, goodbye. Willow Green was going on a business trip abroad for half a month. I secretly found her assistant to arrange her departure. On the day she was leaving, I didn't see Willow Green off at the airport. I just handed her suitcase at the door. Goodbye, I said. Willow Green looked at me deeply, with a complicated expression I couldn't decipher. Finally, she said nothing and turned to leave. It wasn't until I saw the car drive away that I released my tightly clenched fist, unable to stop myself from coughing. I almost thought Willow Green had discovered something was wrong. I packed my luggage and looked around the home Willow Green and I had painstakingly decorated. The sadness in my heart was overflowing. Now, there was only one last step. I woke up the smart housekeeper. Little V, Master, I'm deleting Caden's fingerprint access. Okay, Master, Caden's fingerprint access has been deleted. I dragged my suitcase and left. The sky was gloomy, looking like it was about to rain. A cold wind blew, and I instantly got goosebumps. I instinctively wanted to hold Willow Green's hand, but then I turned and vaguely remembered that Willow Green had already left for her business trip. It seemed my body was indeed getting worse day by day. I was starting to forget things. I smiled bitterly. Even if she weren't on a business trip, Willow Green wouldn't let me hold her hand anymore, would she? Due to her constitution, Willow Green's limbs were always cold since childhood, especially unbearable in winter. I, on the other hand, was like a little furnace. I couldn't stand to see her looking pitifully at me, and in the end, I would always indulge her, letting her put her hands in my coat pockets to get warm. But the person who promised to let me warm her hands for a lifetime was now perhaps holding someone else's hand. I took one last look at the place I had lived in for several years and turned to leave. When we moved here, it was spring. Now it was early winter. Two people had become one. I returned to the small apartment I had bought. 6 days remained on the countdown. I scrolled through my chat history. My brother, Jay, had sent me many messages. Bro, did you win the lottery? Are you sure it wasn't sent to the wrong person? My long-desired collectible figures and building blocks, you sent them all to me. Don't trick me, I'm genuinely broke. I found that I seemed to be getting better at lying lately, even able to answer him without changing my expression. You guessed right, I won the lottery, sharing with my brother. Jay was a bit of an airhead and didn't notice anything wrong with me. He was excited for a long time, then asked, "Are you and Willow Green okay? You're a man. Be good to the girl and yield a bit." "It's fine," I slowly replied, pausing my typing. "Girlfriends should be pampered to be cute." "You're right," he said. "Willow Green likes you so much." "I figured as much. You two are just having little couples quarrels. Just coax her more, and it'll be fine." My eyes hurt a bit. Everyone knew how much Willow Green liked me, but the one who first said I like you was also the first to let go. At this moment, I was somewhat glad that Jay was busy abroad and couldn't come back. If he saw me acting so petty and cruel because of the plot, he would definitely find me terrifying and unfamiliar. he would regret being my friend, but I was still destined to make him angry. Knowing my personality, if he found out I lied to him, he would definitely want to fight me, but this time, I wouldn't be able to fight with him anymore. After ending the chat with Jay, a message suddenly popped up on my phone. I bought a bunch of small gifts and went to a nearby orphanage. When I was in college, I volunteered there, regularly helping out. Later, I got too busy after graduation, so I entrusted others to help deliver things. You haven't been here in a long time. The director smiled kindly, then worriedly added, "How did you get so thin? Did something happen?" I shook my head and said gently, "Nothing. I just haven't had much of an appetite these past 2 days." "Where are the children?" she asked. I went to see them, distributing the gifts I bought. I pushed open a door in the corner. Jane was indeed inside, quietly drawing. Even when gifts were being distributed, she didn't go out. It was as if the world held nothing for her, and only the paintbrush in her hand was her sole focus. I placed the gift on her desk and said nothing, just sat in a chair nearby, watching her wield her brush. Jane had autism and barely spoke, only immersing herself in her own world. The only thing she loved was drawing. When I started volunteering, she was the first child I was assigned. At first, she resisted my closeness. Later, she would allow me to sit beside her and watch her draw. After that, we communicated in this way, a silent exchange in a quiet room, with only the rustling sound of the brush against the paper. "You won't come anymore, will you?" Jane suddenly spoke, her dark eyes looking at me timidly. It had been years, and this was the first time Jane had spoken to me actively. My hands nervously clenched, staring into those clear eyes. My throat felt like it was stuffed with cotton, unable to utter a single word. I could lie to Willow Green and Jay without batting an eye, but I couldn't do it to Jane. "I know you won't come again," she said. "My mom was like that too when she abandoned me. She bought me lots of new clothes and snacks." She saw I didn't speak and continued to talk to herself. I lovingly ruffled her hair. "I'm sorry. Are you and Willow Green getting married?" Jane asked again. My movements paused. "How do you know Willow Green?" "She comes to see me every month, buys me little gifts, and even left a secret for you," Jane said, pulling out a drawing from a drawer and handing it to me. The drawing style was clearly Jane's, but in the corner, a few lines were written. "Kaden, when will you marry me? Actually, I don't need a big house, or a fancy car. Don't push yourself too hard. As long as we work hard together, we'll have all of these. I wonder when you'll discover this secret." The handwriting was Willow Green's. I caressed those delicate lines of writing, my eyes involuntarily turning red. After leaving the orphanage, I wandered aimlessly. Jane had given me that drawing, saying it was a farewell gift. Looking at the trash cans along the road, I impulsively wanted to tear those words off and throw them away several times, but at the last minute, I couldn't bear to. I stopped, looking up, and found myself unknowingly near the university. Without thinking, I walked into a nearby restaurant. Years had passed, and the decor here had grown much older, but there were still as many students eating here as there were back then. Willow Green came from a wealthy family and had been pampered since childhood. The year she graduated and started her internship, she earned her first paycheck through her own efforts. Even though it was only a few $1,000s, Willow Green was incredibly excited. She dragged me to this newly opened restaurant and grandly told me to order whatever I wanted. "Kaden," she said, "I can earn my own money now. I can support myself. You don't have to feel so much pressure." I ordered a very popular signature dish at the time. "I'm sorry, sir," the waitress said, taking out the menu. "That dish has been discontinued. You can check the menu. Our other signature dishes are also very good." I was momentarily dazed. It turned out a lot of time had really passed. I got up to leave but was stopped by the restaurant manager. "You're Kaden, aren't you?" I nodded blankly. "Here, take this," the restaurant manager said, pulling out a yellowed envelope from somewhere and handing it to me. "What is this?" I hesitated, unsure whether to take it. "Back then, when our restaurant first opened, we had an event," the manager said nostalgically. "Write to your future self 3 years from now. We originally planned to mail the postcards to you after 3 years. A few days ago, Ms. Willow Green specifically came and showed me your photo. She said if I saw you, I should give you the postcard." I remembered. There was indeed such an event back then. Willow Green was lively and enjoyed trying all sorts of new and interesting things. She was very persistent about checking off various romantic activities couples did. She naturally wouldn't miss out on an event like this. I opened the envelope. There was only one sentence on the postcard: to Caden, 3 years from now. Hello, have I become Mrs. Caden? It was written by Willow Green. We were in love back then. After writing it, she insisted on exchanging with me, saying we would look at what each other wrote 3 years later. I turned the postcard over. There was half a sentence on the back: if not, then I'll wait for you. It turned out we really were once so deeply in love. The arguments and cold wars of recent times had made me almost forget how much we wanted to be together before. I took out my phone and deleted the chat history from my university years, one by one. As I deleted the messages, I fought back tears. All that past love, some of it recorded in words. The further back I scrolled, the more she loved me. But now, she didn't love me anymore. The old vows and promises, as I slowly scrolled through them now, felt like knives plunging into my heart, the pain unbearable. I clutched my aching chest and walked back, somehow finding myself at my old high school. Willow Green and I had been in the same class since childhood, even sharing a desk. We attended Eastside High for both junior and senior high. I stared blankly at the familiar school building. It was here that I first realized I liked Willow Green. Later, by chance, we confessed our feelings for each other. We studied for exams while hiding our adolescent affections, but the joy in our eyes couldn't be concealed. Every casual remark felt like a reading comprehension exercise, terrified of upsetting the person we liked. Caden, a familiar voice pulled me back from my thoughts. I wiped away the overflowing tears and turned to find it was Mr. Harrison, my high school homeroom teacher. I almost thought I was mistaken. Mr. Harrison held my hand, looking me over. What brought you back? I asked softly. Just passing by this area. Thought I'd drop in. He chuckled. Nostalgic for your youth, are we? Something like that, I replied. I followed Mr. Harrison to his office and sat down. The layout was still the same as years ago. Not much had changed, but everyone else had. Where's Willow Green? Why didn't she come back with you? Mr. Harrison asked fondly. Back then, with her lively personality, only you could manage her. She's on a business trip, I said. You two aren't planning to get married yet? I've been waiting for the wedding candy for ages. Willow Green promised to invite me to her wedding. I bit my lip, trying to act nonchalant. Soon, I said. Back then, Mr. Harrison was the first to discover Willow Green and I were dating, but he didn't force us apart. He just lectured us a lot. Luckily, Willow Green and I listened to him and didn't officially get together until after the college entrance exam. The moment we walked out of the exam hall, Willow Green boldly confessed her feelings for me during a reporter interview. As a grown man, I was the one who blushed first. Mr. Harrison looked at us with a mixture of helplessness and satisfaction. Later, at a gathering, Willow Green generously promised to invite the entire class to our wedding, covering all accommodation and travel expenses. The affection of youth was passionate and sincere. Willow Green turned to me, smiling, her eyes full of me. But now, we would, after all, break our promise to everyone. After bidding farewell to Mr. Harrison, I passed by the old music room and, by some impulse, stopped. My 18th birthday was celebrated at school. Willow Green, to celebrate with me, secretly pulled me into the music room and sang a song for me with her guitar. A person has lived in my heart ever since. Our youthful selves, once so bright, learning to speak love from a script. Your missing tooth made your words slight. I'm searching for that one in the story. You're the part that cannot be missing. Caden's hand holds Caden's, guarding Caden's eternity. When the song ended, Willow Green beamed with a bright smile. A little proud. How was it? Did I sing well? I practiced for a long time. It was just a birthday, but I couldn't believe she would do so much for me. My heart was overflowing with gratitude. I lovingly rubbed her hands. Her strumming hand was red. She must have practiced countless times to sing it for me. We exchanged knowing glances, both blushing. Now, things were different, and people had changed. The promises of youth were too light. I took out my phone and deleted the chat history from my 3 years of high school, message by message. After leaving the school, I almost fainted on the ground. Luckily, a kind person helped me up. My body's reactions were telling me I didn't have much time left. I calculated, and there were only 3 days remaining. Fortunately, I had almost finished everything I wanted to do. Finally, I returned to my old neighborhood, the place where Willow Green and I first met. The weather was getting colder. I looked up. This year's first snow should be coming soon. There weren't many people in the neighborhood. Just a few walking dogs and some children chasing each other. I stared blankly at the slide in the corner. Two children were fighting over the slide, arguing about who would go first. This scene instantly pulled me back to the past. When Willow Green and I were little, we were always fighting over things, always wanting to be first. Children's likes and dislikes were very obvious. When we were a few years old, Willow Green and I genuinely couldn't stand each other. Who would have thought that we would end up together later? Fate was sometimes so strange. I slowly shuffled away. Just a few steps, and I was already out of breath. As I walked, I was violently bumped by someone heavily bundled up. I stumbled, almost falling. The person didn't even apologize. I frowned, wanting to argue, but then I realized the person was heading straight for the two children. No, it's a kidnapper. He moved quickly, grabbing one of the children and trying to run. Unexpectedly, the other child held onto his leg tightly. I didn't know where I suddenly got the strength, but I ran over and shoved the kidnapper hard. He fell to the ground, his hands clutching my neck. "Run!" I shouted with all my might. The kidnapper saw the children had run off, hit me hard, and got up to chase them. I clung to his hand, refusing to let go. The commotion here grew, and many people started to come out to see what was happening. The kidnapper, seeing he couldn't shake me off, pulled out a knife from somewhere and stabbed me fiercely. "Caden!" I heard that heart-wrenching scream, filled with profound despair. Screams and shouts filled the air. I lay on the cold ground, automatically blocking out all the surrounding noise, just staring blankly at the haggard face before me. Someone who should have been on a business trip abroad was now here. Willow Green took off her coat, wrapped it around me, and held me in her arms. "Caden," she kept calling my name. "Look at me, don't go to sleep. Why is this happening? This isn't right. This isn't right," she murmured softly, crying profusely. "What's not right?" I looked at her, confused. It seemed not only was my life force draining away lately, but my mind was also becoming much slower. Willow Green wanted to hold me tighter, but she was afraid of hurting me. I felt something cold and wet on my face. It was Willow Green's tears. How could such a cheerful girl be crying so miserably? My heart still ached for her. She really knew how to manipulate me. She knew I hated seeing her cry the most. Willow Green, that little liar. Didn't she say she wouldn't be sad? The sky was still gloomy. They were waiting for an ambulance, and I was waiting for death. I knew that even if I were taken to the hospital, I wouldn't survive. To see Willow Green one last time, there were no regrets. After all, the person before me was the one I had loved for an entire youth. Small snowflakes began to fall. This year's first snow had arrived. I never thought I would get to see the first snow with Willow Green again before I left. Every year, we used to watch the first snow together. This was the last time. "May the first snow be with you until our hair turns white." Willow Green and I had seen so many first snows together, yet we still couldn't grow old together. Perhaps she had truly considered a future with me once. The snow fell heavier and heavier. I trembled, reaching out to catch a snowflake. My eyelids were already feeling heavy. "Caden, don't fall asleep. Please, I beg you," Willow Green cried helplessly, now a tearful mess. I struggled to open my eyes, using my last bit of strength to wipe away her tears. "You look better when you smile." Willow Green held my hand tightly, trying to warm me, but it was no use. Willow Green sobbed, suppressed. "Caden, please, I beg you, wake up and look at me, okay?" I felt myself getting lighter, drifting further and further away from Willow Green. I floated in midair, watching Willow Green hold my lifeless body, weeping in sorrow. Blood stained the ground, and the falling snowflakes were also tinged with vibrant red. I don't know how long I floated, but I finally felt myself settle. When I opened my eyes again, I saw a room full of people. "Caden, you're awake." The person closest to me couldn't help but cry as she hugged me. I numbly reached out and hugged her back. My throat was incredibly dry. Looking at her hair, streaked with gray, I couldn't hold back my tears any longer. How could I have forgotten that my loving family was waiting for me to come back? I thought the little system would send me to the next world, but unexpectedly, it sent me back to my original world. The moment I returned to my original body, I recovered all my memories. Before, I had accidentally drowned and, although rescued, became a vegetable, unable to wake up. At that time, the little system's voice suddenly appeared in my mind. It said that as long as I completed the villainous male supporting character's mission, I could wake up again. Thinking of my loving mom and dad, and my sharp-tongued but caring older brother, I really couldn't bear to make them sad. So, Without a second thought, I agreed to the little system. I was sent to Willow Green's world. When I first arrived, I could still remember my mission. Later, for some reason, I forgot about these things. In our daily interactions, I naturally fell in love with Willow Green. Thankfully, we were of one mind, and we spent a sweet time together, until Ryder appeared. I began to become sensitive and anxious. Slowly, even I felt unfamiliar to myself. My relationship with Willow Green rapidly deteriorated. Arguments and cold wars became common occurrences. I tried to find out the truth behind all this. Willow Green might betray me, but I knew myself. That wasn't me at all. Later, during another argument with Willow Green, I accidentally hit my head and remembered the little system, only then realizing that all of this was due to the plot's progression, which was making us like that. Knowing everything, I was in agony. Perhaps in my original world, I only lay in a hospital bed for a few years, but in Willow Green's world, I also had family and friends and truly lived for more than 20 years. I tried to change the plot, but all attempts failed. Willow Green and I grew further and further apart. The facts told me not to try to change the plot alone. After all, I was just a male supporting character, and an unreasonable, villainous one at that. Being abandoned and forsaken was the ending the author had given me. When Willow Green abandoned me for Ryder once more, I knew I couldn't be stubborn any longer. It was time to leave. I quietly asked the system why it sent me back. I had applied to leave the world early. I thought the little system would make me continue with new tasks or punish me, but unexpectedly, I not only returned to my original world but also woke up. The little system didn't answer my question. After a moment of silence, it said, "Not knowing is also a good thing." After leaving that one sentence, the little system disappeared. I suddenly felt as if I had had a dream, but the sadness in my heart was real. To avoid worrying my family, I kept everything a secret. This matter was too bizarre. I insisted on daily rehabilitation exercises, and now walking normally was not an issue. Life returned to its normal track. However, late at night, I would occasionally think of Willow Green. Those beautiful memories from the past would always involuntarily surface in my mind. Once, I even slipped up in front of my brother. My brother teased, "You're getting sentimental. When are you going to introduce me to your sweetheart? I want to see what kind of girl can make my stubborn little brother finally open up." "Nothing like that." I brushed him off, stubbornly adding, "Instead, I saw you holding someone that day. Was that your sister-in-law?" This time, it was my brother's turn to fall silent. Time passed quickly. In the blink of an eye, my brother was almost getting married. Decorating the bridal room, I was roped into blowing up balloons. At first, everyone was working enthusiastically, but when my arm got sore, I noticed that everyone else had disappeared. It seemed I was the only one doing the work. Just as I was feeling indignant, the sound of a balloon popping came. It turned out there was another poor soul struggling next to me. This made me feel much more balanced. Speaking of which, I knew this person. She was my brother's college classmate, Alice Bell, also the bride's classmate, serving as a bridesmaid this time. I had eaten with her a few times when I went to see my brother before. Alice Bell looked at me helplessly, like a child who had made a mistake. Seeing her dazed expression, I chuckled. That laugh broke the awkward silence between us, and we sat down together to blow up balloons. The atmosphere was quite harmonious. After the wedding, I found myself bumping into Alice Bell frequently. I hadn't noticed her presence so much before, but now it seemed I ran into her no matter what I was doing. After a while, I started to notice something. Alice Bell was pursuing me. My brother, of course, had noticed. This time, he finally acted a bit more like a brother and specifically talked to me. "What are your thoughts on Alice Bell?" I truthfully told him that after spending some time with her, I really thought Alice Bell was quite nice. My personality was more reserved, but Alice Bell didn't dislike my dullness and always found ways to liven up our conversations. I gradually became able to chat with her more. We became familiar. The affection in the young woman's eyes couldn't be hidden. She was both reserved and bold. Even when pursuing me, she never made me feel uncomfortable. The entire relationship progressed gradually. We were probably in the phase now. My brother hesitated, then stammered, "So, have you let go of Willow Green?" I looked at my brother, bewildered. "Who's Willow Green?" My brother choked, looking at me with a complicated expression. Then he waved his hand. Never mind. I just wanted to say, if you still like someone else, don't mess around. Alice Bell needs loyalty." Back in my room, I was still puzzled. I thought about all my friends named Willow, and besides one senior named Willow, there were no others, but I had only met that senior a few times. Besides, my sexual orientation was female. My brother couldn't possibly think I liked a senior, could he? I didn't know what nonsense he was rambling about. Not old, but muddled. The temperature dropped, and the weather grew colder. I bundled up and went to meet Alice Bell. "Where are you taking me, so mysteriously?" Alice Bell was lively and always full of creative ideas. I never felt bored with her. When Alice Bell saw me, she immediately put her hands into my coat. "Quick, warm up my hands. I'm freezing." Her hands were very cold. I indulged her, letting her put her hands into my coat. Finally, I held her hands tightly. She blushed. Alice Bell took me to a riverside restaurant. The restaurant was reserved, with only a violinist playing soothing music. The biting cold winter and the blooming roses seemed to possess a unique beauty. I turned to Alice Bell. She, usually so bold, was uncharacteristically blushing, stammering, "Caden." I covered her mouth. The person in front of me stared with wide eyes, full of confusion and disappointment. I pulled a rose from nearby and held it out to her. "Alice Bell, I like you. Will you be my girlfriend?" I asked hesitantly. My personality had always been rather quiet and I preferred tranquility, compared to other boys. I didn't act like a typical male and wasn't good at charming girls, but no matter what, this kind of confession should still come from me. Outside, snowflakes suddenly began to fall. I looked up at the swirling snowflakes and led Alice Bell out of the restaurant. The snowflakes landed on my face, cold and refreshing. My heart suddenly skipped a beat. "What's wrong? Are you feeling unwell?" she asked, a worried expression on her face. I covered my chest. Alice Bell looked anxious. I shook my head. "I'm fine." In just a few minutes, the ground was already covered with a thin layer of snow. Alice Bell's and my hair and clothes were also covered in snowflakes. I held Alice Bell's hand and gently kissed her forehead. "Alice Bell, may this first snow be with you until our hair turns white." Willow Green side story. I really liked a boy named Caden. Caden's mind always seemed to be full of strange and wonderful ideas. He wouldn't even get angry when I snatched his toys. Instead, he would look at me with a smile, as if I were a little cat. I couldn't stand him like that, so I always wanted to make him angry. Caden probably thought I was still little, so he told me many strange things, but he forgot that I was just young, not stupid. Caden said he came here because of a system, and as long as he completed his mission, he could go back home, to his original home. At that time, I didn't quite understand what that meant. I just roughly understood that Caden was going to leave. I didn't have much concept of leaving back then. I just felt a bit stifled. Caden always liked to zone out by himself. I once asked him what he was thinking, and he always answered that he was thinking of home, of his mom and dad, of his brother, and of his friends. My family and Caden's family were neighbors. I knew he didn't have a brother in his family, so he was talking about another home. I really liked Caden. I liked him the first moment I saw him. I gave him all my toys and begged him to take me home with him, back to his home. Caden shook his head sadly. "I can't take you with me, and I don't know when I can go back." I was also very sad. When Caden was 5, he got into a car accident. He wasn't seriously injured, but he hit his head. The Caden who woke up was livelier than before and no longer gave me all his toys. He even tried to snatch mine. Although he would still eventually give them back to me, he had become a little bit mischievous. However, Caden hadn't told me about his past for a long time. I asked him, "Don't you want to go home now? Don't you miss your brother anymore?" "Where would I have a brother?" he asked me, looking strange. Caden had amnesia. I was a little sad that I couldn't hear Caden tell me stories about his past anymore, but I was also a little happy. That way, he wouldn't leave. After high school, Caden and I got together. I finally caught the person I liked. Caden's personality was quiet, while I was the opposite. I thought he would hate my boisterousness, but it turned out we secretly liked each other. The moment Caden agreed, I felt like my heart stopped. How could someone casually, with just a word, tug at my heart so much? Every day, I thought about when Caden would marry me. I took him to do many things couples do, not wanting any regrets later, but he always seemed to complain that I was too public, occasionally blushing and telling me not to be so loud. His shy expression made my heart pound. That was the feeling of being smitten. I wanted to tell the whole world that Caden was mine alone. We attended classes together, entered society together, and decorated our home together. I thought we would live happily ever after, but but then Ryder appeared. Caden seemed to have a great deal of hostility toward Ryder. It's fine. If he doesn't like me, I won't interact with him. But even so, Caden began to become very sensitive. Even when I did nothing, he still looked at me with suspicion. We started arguing and giving each other the cold shoulder. To be honest, my heart ached so much. For over 20 years, no one knew Caden better than I did. He didn't talk much, and his personality was quiet, but his kindness to me was absolutely genuine. I knew Caden didn't mean it. I tried to take him to see a doctor, but he was very resistant. Just as I was distressed, Ryder approached me. After talking to Ryder, I was shocked and heartbroken. What he said about a system and transmigrating into a book was not unfamiliar to me. Caden had told me about it before he lost his memory. I had carefully remembered everything Caden said. I knew he always wanted to go home. This had always been Caden's greatest wish. In his original world, he had parents and relatives waiting for him. How could I be so selfish as to make him give up his family for me? If he ever regained his memory, would he blame me for holding him back, or would he be caught in a dilemma? That was what I least wanted to see. I really liked Caden. Forgive me for being selfish this one time. I was extremely clear that the only person I had ever liked was Caden. I tried to let him stay safely in my world, but now I unconsciously said hurtful things. He also looked at me with cold, unfamiliar eyes. The distance between us grew wider and wider. His eyes were always filled with disappointment, and my heart was also twisting with pain. I actively sought out Ryder and agreed to his terms. Ryder also didn't want to be controlled. We acted together, pretending to follow the plot. I only hoped that this way, Caden could return to the home he longed for. There was no perfect solution for this matter. I didn't know if what I was doing was right, but it was the best way I could think of. Before we completely broke up, this was the only thing I could do for him. I never dared to imagine that I would actively say such harsh words to Caden. I saw him suppressing his sadness and disappointment. I liked him so much, yet now I had to pretend to be indifferent. The person I loved was ultimately hurt the most by me. Finally, one day, Caden seemed to give up on me. His eyes showed sorrow, and he slowly began to erase his traces. Caden always thought I was so oblivious that I wouldn't notice, but he didn't know how much I liked him. Everything about him, I kept carefully in my heart. Finally, the house became empty, and my heart felt like it had a hole in it. Caden's body grew weaker and weaker. I knew this was a sign that he was about to leave this world. I was so upset that I suffered from insomnia night after night. I always went to see him while he was sleeping and then secretly returned the next morning. I didn't know how much longer I could keep watching him like this. Caden began to say goodbye to this world. He arranged everything, sending me away. He went to the bank to close his account, visited the stray cat and Jane, from the university to the high school, and then to the old neighborhood where we lived as children, step by step returning to where we first met. I didn't go on a business trip abroad. Instead, I secretly followed Caden, watching him slowly discover my little secrets. If it were before, I would have been very happy that he finally knew how much I liked him. But now, I had hurt him so deeply, and those things I once considered sweet would instantly become sharp blades piercing my heart. I thought watching Caden slowly weaken had already caused me unbearable pain, until I saw him collapse in a pool of blood. For the first time, I knew what despair felt like. Why did this happen? Why did such an accident occur? I was in so much pain I couldn't breathe, only able to hold her helplessly. The blood stung my eyes, blurring my vision, my voice trembling uncontrollably. Caden looked at me calmly, wiping away my tears one last time before slowly closing his eyes. He had left me. A year has passed since Caden disappeared from my world. All the things he took and sold, I've found them back. I've slowly restored the house to how it was when we first lived here, pretending he's still around, but my heart is empty, and it can never be filled again. Caden should be back in his original world now, with his loving parents and his sharp-tongued but caring brother. He should also have forgotten me. My heart aches so much. Caden didn't know that when he regained his memory and summoned the system, I heard him. I knew I was the female lead of this world. I used my own life to threaten the system, forcing it to send Caden back to his original world and erase his memories of me and this world. I was so terrible to him. It's better if he doesn't remember this relationship. Caden deserves someone better. It's early winter again. Snowflakes are falling, swirling. Pedestrians rush by. I look enviously at the couples playing and laughing together. My heart begins to ache again. I know I'll never see that familiar figure again. And I'll never wait for him to indulgently let me put my hands in his coat to warm them. May the first snow be with you until our hair turns white. It's snowing, Caden, do you see it?